We're going to be recording this webinar as well, and Amy is going to put up a link to the recording for some of those who have not been able to make the
has joined the meeting.
Webinar. And also we'll have these forms on the NCEA website. With that, let's move forward. We're going to just address some industry terms with definitions, talking about order notifications, pointing out union jurisdictions, talking about the move-in, move-out schedule, and then just some reminders. So we might be elaborating a little bit on certain things and then just repeating ourselves. GES has
joined the meeting
as the official services contractor for NCEA. GES has been working with NCEA for several years. We will be your official provider for services such as material handling. If you need labor, you can order labor from us. We're providing all the signage, graphics, the whole look of the entire event. If there's any time during your planning process, I know a few of you have reached out just for this webinar, to reach out to me personally or to Jerry or to Amy, and you can also call the National Service Center if you have questions concerning the Exhibitor Services Manual. Here's Jerry and I. We've gotten a little bit older, not too much older. We might look a little different at show sites, but please do find us. We're going to be walking around and just to say hello, but this will give you a snapshot of what we look like. I'm the one on the left, and Jerry's the young one. Let me point out what we have, and I mentioned this, is GES has a National Service Center, and what the National Service Center does is we're open all North American business hours, and we can perform live chat. Any questions that you may have, somebody will be available to address anything. You can read through your manual, and you have, like I said, the online chat. What I do want to point out to you is through my years of experience, and I have this one Exhibitor Services representative and you'll see people walking around on the floor helping you out so that you don't have to go to the service desk. But what you need to do is just simply grab them and ask any questions that you may have, and you may not know some of the questions that you need to ask. But the key important things that I can recommend to you is when you're going through your service manual, pull out the key forms that you're going to need. And that is, number one, is the show information page, which shows you the exhibitor move-in, the exhibitor hours, exhibitor move-out, and just the instructions. You also want obviously your payment form. You want to fill that out. And if you think let's say you're in a 10 by 10 booth or a 20 by 20 booth, you're going to want carpeting because that's mandatory, floor covering. You also, if you need furnishings, pull those forms out, and it's just less overwhelming because there are a lot of pages in the service manual. So I'm going to turn it over to David Cherry, who is with MTP Events, and he will explain MTP's role and his role at the event.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this awesome webinar for NCEA Convention 2019. On behalf of NTP, we are really excited to have you guys join us in Chicago. NTP Events is a trade show company. We've been a trade show management company. We work with NCEA and other associations to provide support in marketing, sales, logistics for their conferences and national
has
shows.
Left the meeting.
At NCEA, we'll be at McCormick Place working with NCEA to help with all logistics. We'll be your on-site floor management. In order to help you have a smooth show, we're working in partnership with GES. So if you can't find someone from GES, we'll be more than happy to assist any way that we can. So definitely don't hesitate to stop and ask any one of us for help. If you could go to the next slide. You'll see our pictures for the NCEA team. For the NTP team. Again, I am David Cherry, Director of Operations and Conferences for the show. And if you've called our customer service line after you purchase your booth space, you may have ran into our event services coordinator, which is Melissa Brim. And she will be able to assist you with any questions also or connect you with GES. And our sales representative is Alexis Dennis. So that is the NTP team for the NCEA show. And again, we are more than happy to assist you in any way and looking forward to seeing you all in Chicago.
Thanks, David. NCEA has not been to Chicago for about 30 years, so I'm going to let Amy just kind of do a little spiel on when they've been there, et cetera, and just give you a little bit of information.
All right. Thank you, Josie. Hi, everybody. My name is Amy Durkin. I am the Director of Events for NCEA. We are approximately 9 weeks away from convention. Like Josie mentioned, we have not been in Chicago in 30 years, so we are very excited, to come back to the Windy City. Paid attendance as of this morning, we are at 7,168. We have about 200 individuals that have registered as exhibit booth personnel, so that puts our total warm body count at about 7,400. If registration continues to pace as it's been for the past few months, we anticipate getting another 100 attendees, paid attendees per week. So we're looking at total attendance over 9,000. So we are very excited about that. So please keep that in mind when you're putting together your booth, your materials for shipping. NTP will send out a number a little bit closer to the show for your booth materials themselves. But just for those individuals who may exhibit at trade shows on a regular basis, you may have heard some stories about Chicago, about labor, how expensive it is in terms of union and labor costs. Just know that over the past 5 years or so, the Chicago Convention and Visitors Bureau, they have worked tirelessly to get labor and union laws reformed. There have been significant changes to those laws over the past number of years. But we just ask the exhibitors to educate themselves on a couple of particular topics, such as the ASUV procedures, which is private occupancy vehicles, what you can do when you're bringing your own materials in by a private car. Josie will get into that information a little bit more specifically later on in the webinar, but also familiarize yourself with the Exhibitor Bill of Rights and the first-time exhibitor tips provided by McCormick Place. This information is available within this webinar, but also if you go to the exhibitor section of the NCEA website, all of this information can be found as a resource. And we've also created a trade show budget for you so that you can calculate your possible expense for the convention. So thank you, and I look forward to seeing everybody in about 9 weeks.
Thanks, Amy. Okay, again, the Exhibitor Services Manual, we're going to go through these items through some industry terms, order notifications, carpet, freight, etc. Moving forward, the Exhibitor Services Manual can be found online, and a link is provided for you. And this, we call it the splash page. You're going to find important dates and deadlines, information to order furniture, carpet, material handling, labor, etc. You have your supplier, which is GES, MTP, and others, and management contacts, exhibitor registration. You'll also see the show site work rules. I have a hard time saying show site work rules. Floor plan, and also the booth rules and regulations that have been comprised of the different things, do's and don'ts that NCEA has come up with. But this is page will look like when you first get to the Exhibitor Services Manual. The industry terms here that you should familiarize yourself with, you have Exhibitor Appointed Contractor, and that is another company who hires union labor, but it's an independent company. They still have certificates of insurance that they're required to have, but what they do is they'll come in and work with exhibitors on setting up their displays. So you have this option if you want to hire someone other than GES. Material handling. This is the movement of and the protection, storage, control of materials and products throughout the show. What we do is we'll receive, let's say you have a crate coming in, a crate comes in, we handle it, we receive it, we will deliver it to your booth space. Once you're finished, you put what's called empty stickers on your crates or boxes that you have shipped in. Those empty stickers can be found at the service desk, which is on the show floor. And then we come and throughout the move-in process, we're taking those boxes, crates away, and we're storing them during the duration of the convention. After the convention is closed, that's when we bring it back. The actual weight is calculated. We call it cubic weight, but it's exactly what the product weighs, including the packaging. So if you have items in your crate, in your box, the whole thing is weighed. The bill of lading, this is a legal document, and it's used by the carrier freight service to acknowledge receipt of the merchandise of your shipment. A common carrier is like FedEx, Yellow, Freight. Those are the common carriers that transport the goods to and from or from and to. Your freight forward is a company that organizes shipments for individuals or corporations, just like we have GES Logistics. And I want to point out that if you do use GES Logistics for your shipping needs and you ship round trip, there is a 10% discount extended onto your material handling charges. POV stands for personally owned vehicles, and I will elaborate a little bit more on that. But a personally owned vehicle can be an SUV, a truck, as long as it's not a company-owned vehicle or it has a company name on the side of the truck or the van, and it weighs less than 1 ton. When you place an order through with GES, you will receive a confirmation on all your orders that you place. We will send you, if you, believe it or not, we still get faxes. I confirmed this. So if you send an order in via fax, you will receive a notification of receipt of the fax. And exhibitors, you all must provide GES with a fax number and an email address in order to receive these notifications. So, very important, you can save money and take advantage of the discount prices, and that is, you can find all those forms in the kit, but the advanced deadline for the best pricing is going to be April 1st, and the advanced deadline for best pricing for McCormick Place services, and the forms are also in the service kit, and they're different dates. So pay attention to those dates as well. And that comes, let's say, I would say catering or other different services that McCormick Place Convention Services provides. It's very important to know that floor covering is required for this event. It's a professional event, so we want all professionally laid. You can do carpet, or if you have other types of floor covering, you're permitted to do that. But you have to provide your own floor covering. You can order it from us, or from GES, or you can provide your own. If you want to have your carpeting shipped in or floor covering shipped in, you just have to be prepared that there will be material handling charges onto those shipments. And the carpet order discount deadline for the carpeting is April 1st. Sorry about that. Now, padding adds comfort, so we have a discount extended to help you out with the pricing if you want to order padding and visqueen covering so that you prevent the carpeting from getting really dirty during setup. But you can save 50% on padding when you rent carpeting from GES, and you can save 10% on carpet packages that include the padding and the visqueen covering. So once again, if you guys have questions or anything, you can chime in. Moving forward, this is freight. I'm going to give you an example of what is happening when we're moving freight, and I've just put a picture of the crates. And we're delivering the freight to your booth. And a lot of times I always recommend or strongly urge people to use the advanced shipping warehouse. And that way we receive the freight in advance and we will deliver your freight by the time you get there to set up your booth. If you ship it direct, it'll go to a marshaling yard and then the trucks come in as they're called. And then we're not sure what time your drivers get there. So again, me personally, I urge advance. Here's where I mentioned some savings on freight. If you are really careful, you just have to put your stuff together. If you are going to ship things, make sure they're in a crate. Ship items combined on one pallet and not loose shipments, because we'll weigh everything all together, and then that weight will be the one. That's how it's charged. And again, to reiterate what I said earlier, is you can receive a 10% discount on material handling when using GES Logistics for your round-trip shipping. And here are some more guidelines to help your shipments to show site become more efficient and easy. Separate labels for each package, and you can find the labels in the service manual. Make sure to show name, your exhibitor name, facility name, booth number, and a cell phone number. The cell phone number is for the person who's going to be in Chicago, and not somebody who's not in Chicago, so that we can reach you if there's any questions. Use these labels that are provided in the service kit and remove any old labels that are on your packaging. And make sure that you do not ship your exhibit properties to the convention center before your scheduled move-in date or time, because they will refuse it. And again, this is where I am urging you, if you can, send it to the advanced warehouse. And always, always bring your shipping information with you. You may not be the one who's organizing all the shipping for your properties. It might be somebody back in the office, and when you get to Chicago, and if for some reason your shipment doesn't show up, you have to have tracking numbers, we call them pro numbers. You have to have all that information with you so that we can assist you in tracking your shipment. Please note, what I want to elaborate on again is, if you ship something FedEx or if you ship it UPS, what happens is the drivers will come to the loading dock. You might have 200 FedEx shipments. They will drop those shipments. That driver is not standing there and waiting and scanning each package. So, it's kind of, I always think it's a little risky when you're sending it that way. So, again, just be mindful of the way you're sending your information and make sure that you have copies of all the information regarding your shipments. Direct freight unloading. Remember that there's going to be a lot of trucks and vehicles to be unloaded, and this process takes time, so you just have to really be patient. If you have time, go get yourself a cup of coffee, and hopefully when you come back, your stuff could be there. So make sure your items that you need first are loaded in last so that they can be unloaded first. This will provide you with the opportunity to start your installation while the remainder of your shipment is being unloaded. So you want the guys to get your stuff that you need first off of that truck. Empties are the crates and boxes. That's what we refer to those once you have all your equipment or your properties out. When you are finished with, and you don't need anything else, from your, I'm just going to use crates as the generic term, from your crate, then you put the empty sticker label on it. Once we see that there's an empty sticker on it, we're making the assumption that you have now said, nothing else is in this crate. I do not need anything out of this crate until the end of the show when I'm ready to tear down my display and ship it out. Because you do not want to have to pay for additional labor and materials to go look for your crate to bring it back out, because that could be, that's an excessive expense. The cartons and boxes are always returned first at the end of the convention, and then we return crates. But you also have to remember that we roll up the aisle carpeting first, and then we start delivering empties. So please, please do not make any airline reservations if you're the one who has to stay there. Make sure that you don't have to catch an airplane and you have to leave, because that could get a little stressful for you. Okay, does anybody have any questions so far? All right, HandCarry / personally owned vehicles. The McCormick Place, this is what it's called. It's the Automobile and Small Utility Vehicle Program. There's two ways to participate with this. And again, the personally owned vehicle is if you come in with an SUV, and when you see this deck, you'll see what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. You can't show up with a U-Haul, because at that point they're going to send you over to the other loading dock, and that's how it has to be unloaded. But if you have a van with no company name on the side, SUVs, a regular vehicle, and you can use those. When you're participating in this program, like I said, specific vehicles can be used to transport your material. So you will come in and you're checked in, and then you can unload. The self-unloading is available on predetermined dates and
has
times,
left the meeting.
and during the move-in on April 22nd from 10:30 to 4 o'clock, and during move-out from 1:30 to 5 p.m. That's when all this area is available. Only registered exhibitors is qualified to participate in this program. So the exhibitor has to be a full-time employee with the current company with a minimum of 6 months before the show opening. So I personally have never seen anybody ask to prove the full-time employment, but we urge you to have that available in case somebody requests it. Check-in for exhibitors will take place at the marshalling yard at 3050 South Mo Drive, and that's where the drivers will receive a pass, and they'll be directed
Has left the meeting. Has joined the meeting.
In the correct exhibit booth building. Sorry about that. So you will not be allowed to access the dock without a dock pass. So a minimum of 2 people must arrive with the vehicle, 1 person to stay with the vehicle, and the other person who can hand carry their materials in, and you have a 20-minute time period. So be prepared your vehicle has to move after the 20 minutes.
Hello?
HandCarry Options. And again, this is different from city to city, so this is why we're really pointing this out. Once you park in the parking lot, you can move your items into the exhibit area. You may hand carry your items or utilize a non-motorized, non-hydraulic hand truck or dolly, and you can see that the dolly can have 2 wheels or 4 wheels. You just can't use any hydraulic lifts, and there's no additional cost for that. However, what you will incur is the parking fee to use this option.
Awesome. Exciting.
So the EACs, the exhibitor
Okay.
point
So you're leaving home
contractors,
at 5:30? Good deal.
the exhibitor appointed
How was
contractors,
your day?
excuse me, can somebody, whoever's talking, can you put the phone on mute?
So do you want me to, do you want me to mark on it? Like,
I'll try to increase
edit at all?
So if you plan to contract with an EAC, make sure that they register with DES so that they can receive the necessary credentials and instruct them.
So if I edit it, I have to make the changes
by
myself.
saver receiving door entrance. You know what? I don't know if I can. Hold on.
Do you have to hand in a printed copy?
Sorry about that. So the since May 1st, 2018, McCormick Place has been implementing building entry and exit procedures. Just for
So do you want me to mark on it or
with
not?
the way everything is going in the world,
Okay.
they can only enter and exit
All right.
certain
Sounds good. Will do.
areas of the building.
All right.
And
See
they
ya.
have to have valid credentials. Personnel will not be allowed to enter through any other area of the building. Union jurisdictions for installation and dismantling. Exhibitors have the option of using GES. So you can place the order here in the deck in the service manual. You will see the installation and dismantling order form. And we have qualified display houses also. They can come in to install and dismantle displays. Exhibitors who are using the EAC must have the EAC submit a certificate of insurance by March 23rd in 2019. So again, plan to order in advance. If you know that you're going to need labor, it's best to order it in advance. It helps us to
Has left the meeting.
have enough labor. And as you can see, the installation and dismantling labor pricing is discounted. So if you order in advance, it's a lot less expensive per man hour. And we will charge, the first, you have a 1 hour minimum, and after that, the labor hours are charged at half-hour increments. The move-in and move-out
Has left the meeting.
dates to remember are the move-in schedule is Monday, April 22nd, and Tuesday, April 23rd, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. on Monday. And then really the Tuesday move-in, it's really not, it's just for you to tweak your exhibit booth. The move-out schedule is on Thursday from 1:30 to 8 p.m. for the exhibitor move-out. Now, the exhibitor has, or the McCormick Place has an exhibitor bill of rights, and this is where, and you can read through this, and it's in your service manual, where you can perform work using, within your booth, your own ladders, hand tools, cordless tools, power tools, and other tools designated by the McCormick Place. You're prohibited from using forklifts or similar motorized or hydraulic equipment. And again, it has to be an employee for at least 6 months before the show opening date.
Did you know or care that
Here is some success tips
I
that David is going to elaborate on.
did know, and I do care. So I will take care of it.
Good afternoon. Thanks, Josie. Just a quick reminder to everyone on the webinar, could you please mute your phones? We are recording this webinar. We want it to be as productive and conducive for everyone to hear what's being discussed. So if everyone could take a quick second to mute your phones or mute your computers, that would be great. So let's talk about trade show success. A lot of you guys may have already exhibited at previous shows, but let's refresh and go over some tips to help you be even more successful. So one of the first things is first impressions are so important to attendees. It only takes 1/5 of a second for an attendee to decide whether or not they want to visit your booth. So make sure when you are designing your booth layout, whether it's a 10 by 10 or a 100 by 100 booth, it doesn't matter the size, make sure that you're strategic in how you like to design your booth so that it's eye-catching, it's inviting for attendees to want to stop by and engage with you, your staff, and your products and services to learn more. Another tip would be to market yourself pre-show. So a lot of you may have your own email list or e-blast or text list. You may also have social media. Please be sure to promote yourself and your presence at the show. It not only benefits NCEA, but it also benefits you because your clients and prospective clients will be on the show floor as a result of your efforts to participate and bring your clients on the show floor. We also invite you to take advantage of.
Oh, I'm sorry, David. This is Amy at NCEA. I want to interrupt you real quick, if I may, regarding the attendee list, and this is for all of our exhibitors who exhibit at NCEA. Please note that the only way that you can get our attendee list is through Convention Data Services. They are the only official provider of the attendee list. I know that many of the exhibitors have been receiving emails from unsolicited companies stating that they have our attendee list. That is absolutely not the case. It is only available through Convention Data Services. Any other email, any other company stating otherwise can be ignored, and any vendor that is communicating with you will use the NCEA 2019 official vendor logo. If they are not using that official vendor logo, they can be ignored. So thank you, and David, I turn it back to you.
Great. That is a great tip. We've experienced a lot of questions about that, so I'm glad you brought that up about the attendee list. Let's go to the next slide and talk about creating an experience. When you do have a strategically great plan for your booth layout and you have your attendees that come to your booth space, you want to create an experience for them. So you want to definitely make sure that you have something, you understand your value proposition so that you can communicate that to your attendees and go beyond just giving them a brochure and a tchotchke and a giveaway, but create an experience, a memorable experience so that helps make your booth stand out, your brand stand out, so that after the show is over, when they go back to their schools, they're still talking about the experience that they had at your booth. They're still talking about the products and services that they interacted with, that they put their hands on at your booth space. So make them smile, make them laugh, be inviting. Don't sit there on your phones or on your laptops. Be inviting and create an experience from the time they stop at your booth to the time that they leave your booth so that they remember your product and service. And I kind of mentioned about don't be on your phones and laptops. I understand we're all busy professionals, but there's kind of a time and place for everything. So make sure that your booth staff knows that, once the doors of the exhibit hall open, that is showtime. So make sure you properly train your booth staff to know your pitch, know your business proposition, know what your objectives are, and be able to communicate those to your attendees that stop by your booth. Also, if you rent a lead retrieval unit, make sure they're properly trained on how to use that so that they can make the experience go as smooth as possible for exhibitors to scan those badges, get those email addresses and phone numbers to connect with attendees after the show is over. So that's good tips in regards to training your booth staff. Is there a next slide there?
Yep.
Oh, yes, there is. Sponsorships. There's some sponsorships still out there. Alexis Dennis is the contact if you still want to elevate your return on investment for sponsorship, for your presence at this show. So connect with Alexis Dennis. Her contact information is there. And she can give you a full list of sponsorships that are still available and the price ranges that they are. I know everyone doesn't have a $50,000, $100,000 budget, but we are more than willing to see what is available at this point as we get closer to the show so that you can get the best experience possible while you're there. I mentioned lead retrieval and attendee list, and also Amy, she brought up attendee list as well. Convention Data Services provides the lead retrieval solutions for the exhibitors and for this show. So connect with them. Their information is in the Exhibitor Services Kit. So make sure that to make your process as smooth as possible, if you would like to take advantage of getting the attendee list or lead retrieval systems, make sure you connect with them. I really like lead retrieval systems because you can set qualifiers based on your objectives. So if you have specific objectives and if Susie May stops by your booth, you can qualify her based on the objectives that you put in, and it's almost like shorthand. So if you click one, you already know that is attached to a specific qualifier, so you know who needs to contact them immediately after the show. If they're a hot lead, if they're a warm lead, you can. There's a range of qualifiers that you can enter into your specific lead retrieval unit for your objectives. But it really helps with follow-up, so you know exactly who to go to and prioritize that to get the most out of your experience at the booth.
Thanks, David. All right, so important reminders.
Edward Linda Kugel
has left the meeting.
Important reminders, just to touch base, carpet is not required, but floor covering is required. So either you can order carpet from GES, you can bring in your own carpet. Please remember that that's subject to material handling charges or professional floor covering. Read instructions, your shipping instructions carefully. Bring tracking numbers to site and the POV. If anybody has any questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to me if you need some further explanations on that. Remember, it's a privately owned vehicle under 1 ton, not a commercial vehicle. Early breakdown of exhibits is not permitted by NCEA. If for some reason, Amy, I think you have indicated, if for some reason somebody has to break down early, they should let you know ahead of time. And NCEA and MTP Events will be on set at show site, as well as Jerry and I will be at show site in case any issues arise. We're going to be there to help you. This is the logo that Amy was talking about, the official 2019 NCEA Chicago logo. That if you'd like to use this, you can use this. So she's encouraging you to use them. And then there's a listing, important deadlines. If for some reason you need this, I'll be more than happy. Again, just email me, Josie, jcaldwell@ges.com. I can give you a snapshot of this. And that is, we're just about there. Plan, and again, check your plan. Again, I'm stressing, read that Exhibitor Services Manual. Pull out the forms that I was telling you about, just key forms that you're going to need. Make sure you're shipping smart because in the long run, it's going to save you money. Bring copies of all of the orders. If you haven't placed them, make sure whoever has done the admin work in the back end that you come with copies. Leave enough time after move out to pack up when you're making your travel arrangements. Ask for help. We're the experts. We've all been doing this a very long time. Seasoned experts. We have experience in Chicago as well as other places, but we can help you out. Now, what I'd like to ask is for everybody who's left on this call, if you're a new exhibitor who has attended this entire webinar, and so if you can send me an email so that I have your contact information, and you will receive a $50 credit on the invoice for GES services. So all those people who left early didn't get to hear this. So, but you have to be a new exhibitor who at NCEA, and just shoot me an email, and that way we'll keep track of it and we'll make the appropriate adjustment at show site. And that is it. Thank you. And does anyone have any questions for David, Amy, me?
Could you repeat your email address again, please?
Certainly. It's J as in Josie, Caldwell, C as in cat, A-L-D as in dog, W-E-L-L @GES.com. I know that some of you emailed me just to get the link, but for this, if you can just mention what booth number you're in, that'll help. That'll make it easier.
Yeah, hi,
Thank
Josie.
you.
This is Tony. I'm wondering, I know when I went into the portal and had a look at that manual is pretty overwhelming because it's got so much content in it. Is there some sort of list of like a cheat sheet or a page you'd recommend we can go to that takes us to those key things like, here's, you got to do your carpet, you got to do your booth ordering, your furnishings, things of that nature, and the deadlines? Is there like a one-pager we can go to sort of grab those?
You can go on the online form, you can see that, but here's what I have recommended. Again, I learned this from an exhibitor services person who suggests this all the time is, I can tell you, and if you want to send me an email, I'll shoot you an email with a list of what I think you should pull out, but you definitely want to have the show information page, the payment order form, because the show information page will give you the whole schedule. And then there's contacts in there for NCEA, NTP. And if you have any questions, you can call the National
Kimberly Callinger
has left the meeting.
And they will help you out. They can do, I call it hand holding. But if you're going to ship something in, you have your labels, material handling form. If you need labor, order the labor. So you want to just pull out those forms. And what you can do is if you go on, you can download that whole kit, and then there's bookmarks on the left-hand side. It's a PDF. And you can see, it'll just you can see exactly what those forms are, and just click on it and print it out. Because I print out certain forms in my notebook that I keep, that I take, and I have maybe 10 forms. Did that help?
Yeah, I think I'm going to email you to start with, but yeah, this is our first time exhibiting, so we're looking forward to it. So thanks.
Oh, good. Okay.
For putting this together.
And are you here in the States?
Yeah, I'm based in the States, but my company is in Australia. So.
Well, why don't you call me, because I want to listen to your accent.
No worries. I'll be happy to do that. But I really appreciate the little extra hand holding that you're all providing. Thanks.
Certainly. Yeah, reach out to me and we can chat.
Okay, beauty.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Well, thank you very much for attending the webinar. Once the recording is completed, Amy, you'll be putting it up on your website. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, thank you, everyone. You have some time back for the day. Safe travels, and look forward to seeing you
has left the
in
meeting.
Chicago.
Thank you, everybody. Look, see you in Chicago.
Has left the